Okay, hello Philippines and hello world. Welcome back to Podcast Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. We are your hosts, I am Vecal Porha.
I'm Joselito Ebro.
And I am Lee Candelaria. We are now in episode 23 of our series Bagay-Bagay Objects of Philippine Life. And I think itong topic natin, isa to sa mga top of mind natin when we think of Filipino icons, no? This is none other than the jeepney. Beep, 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 beep.
Sabi ng jeep. So, born from the ashes of World War II, assembled in Filipino backyards and decorated with enough chrome to blind you in traffic or with music so loud na parang hindi mo na marinig yung busina ng mga ibang sasakyan.
Correct.
Di ba?
Tama. Saka marami tayong mababanggit about jeepneys today kasi bahagi talaga yan ng buhay natin. Pero alam nyo ba na at their peak in 1970s, Sarao Motors alone produced 18 to 20 jeepneys per day. So, sobrang dami.
Wow.
Wild nun, no? The jeepney represents Filipino ingenuity at its finest. When Manila's entire transportation system lay in ruins in 1945, Filipinos took leftover American military jeeps and created something entirely new, something uniquely ours.
Indeed. So today we'll trace how surplus Willys Jeeps became mobile art galleries. And of course, how they shaped Filipino urban culture for 8 decades. And pag-usapan din natin why their future hangs in the balance.
So we'll explore the workshops where Kalesa drivers became automotive pioneers, the streets where jeepney drivers became kings, and the debates that could determine whether this icon survives or disappears.
But before we talk about jeepneys, we need to understand what Filipinos rode before 1945. No? Kasi nga, the jeepney is a product of the war. During the Spanish era and well into the American period, it was the Kalesa that ruled Manila's streets.
Yes, so these horse-drawn carriages were everywhere. So, halimbawa, in the late 1930s, about 7,000 kalesas operated in Manila. So, yung cocheros or coachmen formed powerful unions that politicians courted for votes. Yung isang interesting dito ay, I think, kung ikukumpara sa ibang mga bansa or sa ibang mga colonial territories sa Southeast Asia like Singapore, wala tayo nung rickshaw pullers.
Yeah, oo.
Nabasa ko yung isang article from Michael Pante sa apparently nagkaroon ng attempt yung mga Amerikano early 1900s to build a rickshaw company. Tapos nirally sila ng mga tao like madiing pinrotesta lalo na ng mga unionista noon kasi parang degrading for them. Parang sino bang magiging pasero doon, 'di ba? Yung mga ang pangit ng optics.
Na tao yung naghihila sa tao.
Yes, so they hated that. Tapos yung mga Amerikano para sabi nila, ano ba tong mga na to, mga Pilipino na to, mga tamad, sa kanila naiintindihan yung dignity ng labor, yada yada yada. But very interesting.
Yeah.
And in the same vein, Americans tried introducing electric streetcars in 1905 and motorized buses. But of course, Kalesa drivers protected their territory fiercely.
Parang familiar, no? Parang nangyayari ito ulit ngayon with the jeeps, no? History repeats itself, the classic question. Anyway, Filipino entrepreneurs were already experimenting with motorized transport, though, around this time. The term auto Kalesa appeared in 1910, referring to cheap cars for hire at 2 pesos per hour. By 1932, a Filipino attached a carriage to a German DKW car, creating an early multi-passenger vehicle.
So, Emil Bachrach's company built the BMC Auto Kalesa using an Austin 7 chassis with a back entry carriage, which could seat 4 to 8 people. So, para siyang mini baby buses. Diba? That's parang, it was essentially jeepney prototypes. At ito yung mga, yung mga nasa kalsada kasama ng mga kalesa.
And then came February 1945. Manila was devastated. The Tranvia lines were destroyed, buses were wrecked, the roads were cratered. The city desperately needed transportation.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is that a lot of places in Manila, laging may reference sa mga daang bakal. Like, even in our place in Rizal, sa Montalban, no? Parang may daang bakal. Which means that perhaps there were train lines running then, Tranvia or what. But after World War II kasi, it was not really the priority, no? Nung rebuilding nung Manila. And dito papasok ngayon yung sinasabi na ingenuity of the Filipinos, but I would say this is more like making use of what's present.
Yeah.
It's ingenuity not because of choice, but because we have no choice. We need something
Yeah.
na magagamit para masakyan.
Na
no?
affordable.
Na affordable. And, the Americans had thousands of surplus military jeeps. Why? Because the Philippines, Manila in particular, was one of the main theaters of the war, especially towards its end. No? And as U.S. forces withdrew in late 1945 and 1946, they sold, auctioned, or simply abandoned these vehicles. An American serviceman named Harry Stonehill was even reportedly involved in offloading jeeps through the black market.
Yes, and Filipino mechanics saw opportunity in those abandoned jeeps. Starting in late 1945. So, kakatapos ng digmaan talaga, ano? They bought surplus Willys jeeps for a few hundred pesos, and then they began converting these vehicles for civilian transport.
So the word jeepney itself first appeared in print in 1946. It's a portmanteau of jeep and jitney, which was an American slang for a nickel fare shared taxi. By February 1945, even before the war fully ended, modified jeeps were already shuttling passengers along Avenida in Manila.
Ang galing ng jeepney, no? Ano pala yun? Jeep and jitney. So the standard Jeep design emerged in 1946. Surplus Jeeps extended to seat 8 to 10 passengers with 2 benches facing each other in the rear. So, ang genius ng idea kasi ang simple niya, no? How do you maximize that space? E di extend natin, lagyan natin ng 2 bench.
Habain.
Harapan ng upo,
Oo,
no?
tama.
Harapan ng upo.
Very unique, no? Parang wala pa akong nakita ng ibang public transport na ganun yung setup. Sa ibang bansa, ano. Pero yung talagang tunay na bayani ng kwentong ito ay syempre yung mga Filipino craftsmen who transformed these military vehicles into people movers. Isa na dyan ay si Leonardo Salvador Sarao Sr. na dating kalesa driver mula Cavite, ano. At he started experimenting with jeep conversions between 1947 and 1953. At yung isa pang pioneer ay si Anastasio Francisco, a Calesa painter from Las Piñas who founded Francisco Motors around 1947 din. So in fact, si Sarao mismo ay nagtrabaho bilang mechanic sa talyer ni Francisco before striking out on his own.
Sarao began with a 700 peso loan in 1953 to formally establish Sarao Motors in Las Piñas. At yung 700 pesos na yan would actually be converted to around 91,000 pesos, no, in today's money. So his genius was extending the chassis, adding a metal roof and railings, and creating a rear entrance that doubled the vehicle's capacity.
Oo,
So, ginawa ng shaman. Hindi, joke.
Ginawang shaman. Kasi I don't know if you're familiar with the owner type Jeep. Parang yun kasi yung original na itsura niyan, di ba? Yung pasokan niyan sa gilid lang din, hindi sa likod. Pero dahil in-extend niya yung chassis, nilagyan ng roof, nilagyan ng railings, nilagyan ng bench, tapos rear entrance na, sobrang lumaki yung capacity ngayon ng Jeep. And Sarao famously adorned his jeepneys with a crone stallion on the hood, honoring his humble beginnings as a horse carriage driver. Itong si Sarao, nakatapos lang yan hanggang grade 6 dahil sa kahirapan, no? Pero nakabuo siya itong multi-million peso enterprise, no? Yung Sarao Motors nga.
And that shows resourcefulness, no, for Filipinos. Kasi galvanized iron sheets, often from GI roofing or oil drums, were hammered and riveted to create body panels and roofs, no? Everything was hand-cut with hacksaw, hammered on anvils, and welded by torch.
Wow. Talagang skill, di ba? Huyo yung mga engineer. So early jeepneys cost around 2,000 to 3,000 pesos. All in na yun, nung mga early 1950s. When a new American sedan cost far more. So, ang dami niya nasakay. Pero, mas mura siya kasi dun sa mga kotse, ano. This made them accessible to aspiring drivers and operators who scrape together para makaipon or para makapag-loan.
And by 1950s, the government started requiring licenses na for jeepney drivers. So, wala na. Corny na. Hindi, joke lang. And setting fixed routes, and fares. So, the anarchic free-for-all ended later on, and the jeepney was becoming an institution.
Yeah. Napahapyawan na natin to, no? Pero mahalagang balikan pa rin natin yung, kumbaga, yung roots, yung historical journey. Kasi the immediate post-war years cemented the jeepney as the people's transport talaga. Sabi nga natin kanina, yung tram lines were never rebuilt, buses were scarce, kalesas were fading away. And by the 1950s, taking a jeepney had become routine for working-class Filipinos.
Yes, so the government initially let jeepneys operate freely nga. Like, bala ka, di ba? Kung may jeep ka, kaya mo magmaneho, go.
Oo.
Pero by 1953, Manila authorities required franchises. So, kailangan na ng mga prangkisa. Tapos, ayun nga, nakaspecify na yung mga daan, yung ruta, di ba? At yung number for allowed units. So, dito, nagkaroon na ng mga jeep na kinategorize or kinlassify na colorum. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga walang prangkisa. Diba? Unlicensed. Pero nag-ooperate pa rin.
Nevertheless, the 1960s and 70s marked the golden age of jeepney manufacturing. Sarao Motors, kanina yung yung nag-loan lang ng 700 peso, employed later 350 to 400 workers and produced 18 to 20 units daily, nabanggit natin kanina. And Filipinos called any jeepney a sarao, the way they'd said Toyota for any car or Colgate or Close-Up for any toothpaste.
Oo, no? Naging household name tong Sarao in a way, no? Kasi whenever we see a Jeep, it's always a Sarao. And during this time, the design also evolved dramatically. Manufacturers lengthened the chassis, lalong dumami yung kayang i-accommodate. Kasi ngayon, 18 passengers na, di ba yung Shaman, di ba? Sham-sham.
Yeah, ang haba.
Sham-sham, so 18 yung kayang isakay ng isang jeep. At may marami rin sa mga jeep ay nag-switch from gasoline to diesel engines for better fuel economy. And they used Perkins, Peugeot, and Mercedes conversion kits.
Bongga,
No?
Alam, sobrang kailan ko lang nalaman yan na sa atin lang, or sa Pilipinas, very commonly used yung diesel. Pero halimbawa sa US, sobrang bihira ang diesel na vehicle. Kaya sabi ko, yung mga jeep diesel yan kasi mas mura, di ba? Pero, I mean, a few years ago, ang mahal ng diesel, bumaliktad. Ayun, so, yung aesthetics ng jeep, nagbago siya completely. Where 1950s jeepneys had simple two-tone paint, the 60s brought multicolor paint jobs and lavish accessories. Chrome hood ornaments, extra mirrors, mga antena, fog light, mga naging standard na yan sa mga bagong jeep.
Pero may mga jeepney rin na nakakasilaw, no? Yung mga stainless. By 1971, naging uso kasi yan. No? Well, it resisted kasi yung kalawang and also added some sort of decor. Jeepney sides became canvases for hand-painted murals depicting everything from rural landscape to action movie heroes. Kasama na rin dyan yung mukha nung asawa niya, anak niya, lolo't lola. Parang family picture.
Galing, no? Ako, yun yung isa sa mga markers ko ng Filipino maximalist aesthetic. No? Parang lahat lagay mo dyan. Sige, pati si Jesus lagay mo dyan.
Sobrang pala, makita mo mga picture ni Jesus sa kanyang Mary. Tapos, sexy anime figure sa tabi niya.
Parang wild, no? So talagang naging central, no, sa ating character, kumbaga sa Filipino character, yung jeepney. In fact, a Sarao jeepney was even showcased at that 1964 New York World's Fair as a symbol of the Philippines. And the jeepney really transcended just from transportation to really become national identity.
So nung nag-martial law, nagkaroon ng paghihigpit, mayroong mga stricter oversight kumbaga. So mga 72 to 81, the government introduced fixed jeepney stops. Tapos pinagbawal yung mga patigil-tigil kahit saan.
No.
Which was, ginagawa pa rin naman. 'Di ba? Saka yung kasi
Yeah.
I think yung kasi yung isa mga bentahin ng jeep di ba? Ititigil kasi tapat na ng bahay mo, 'di ba? So convenient kasi yung sa mga sa lakarin mo.
Hanggat kaya.
Yes. Tapos nagkaroon na din yung mga boundary system where drivers lease jeepneys from operators araw-araw tapos merong fixed fee.
No.
Tapos naging formalized na yung sistema na yon. So yung
Boundary.
yung boundary system like halimbawa yung operator ang boundary niya ang boundary mo ay 500 pesos. So kailangan maibigay na
A day.
500 yung driver. So kung sino yung kung magkano yung susobra sa 500 yun yung take home nung driver. Kaya karamihan sa mga jeepney drivers pangarap nila makabili ng sariling
No,
jeep.
wala nang boundary yun eh.
Correct.
So, idagdag pa dyan yung brutal labor conditions. Kasi for example, itong 1970s, they worked for 12 to 16 hours daily just to, para lang maka-boundary, no? And when oil prices spiked from 1973 and 1979, problema yun ng drivers kasi sino ba naman ang magbabayad nung nung extra bayad sa oil na ito? Hindi naman magbabayad ng operator, di ba? So, owners raised boundaries while fares stayed low, squeezing their income or the driver's income.
And, at the time, despite authoritarian repression, jeepney drivers became a powerful group to lobby for their own rights, and they organized their own resistance. In 1971, shortly before martial law, a driver's strike protesting fuel prices turned violent. So even before martial law, mayroon ng mga protesta tong mga drivers ng jeepney. And then later on, 1981, Piston was formed to fight unjust policies.
O di ba yung Diliman Commune nga nung 1971 ay nagsimula yan sa protesta ng oil price hike. So yung mga estudyante ay sumama doon sa mga tsuper na nagpo-protesta. Nung 80s naman, so ito yung pag-alagwa ng mga protesta after ng assassination kay Ninoy. Yung mga jeepney, mga tricycle drivers, halimbawa sa Cebu, kaya sa Mindanao, nag-launch ng mga strike. So they became a part of the broader anti-dictatorship movement. So welgang bayan. So people strikes. At talagang dito na ipakita nila yung power nila kasi kapag sila yung nag-strike, wala, paralisado yung syudad. Diba?
Correct. Oo.
Yeah. And then came EDSA 1986. No, jeepney drivers blocked intersections to prevent military vehicles from advancing. Many offered free rides to revolutionaries and shuttled food and water to the crowd. So, instrumental itong mga jeepneys na ito.
And then after Marcos fell, democratization meant drivers can now unionize openly. And the late 1980s saw Piston become a national federation alongside FEDJADAP and Pasang Mazda emerging to lobby for better conditions. Ang funny kasi these are the familiar names we hear sa news when we were in college. Oo, na we're so dependent sa jeeps kasi. So parang may strike. Naku, mahirapan tayo. Ang nostalgic for me.
Napaisip tuloy ako, meron pa bang FEDJADAP? Or Pasang Mazda?
Yung Pasang Mazda naririnig ko pa. Yung Piston naririnig ko pa rin.
Yung FEDJADAP.
Yung FEDJADAP, hindi ko na. Oo.
I think active din sila sa Congress dati na may mga representatives sila. Piston, tama ba?
Baka.
Dati nagka-cancel ng klase eh. Kapag may strike.
No, dahil lang din.
Yes. Tapos inaaway nila yung mga iskarol. Yung bumabiyahe pa rin kahit strike kasi nga dapat solidarity.
Oo, correct.
So after 1986, yung franchising system, it actually opened up. So mas free na, mas madali ng mga ng prangkisa. Pero nangyari naman, oversaturation. So 1990s, ang dami-daming jeep. Parang yung jeepney to passenger ratio, 'di ba? Dumami tapos, nag-iba. So lumala yung traffic. At syempre, kapag matraffic, kasi sa gasolina, hindi ka nakakatakbo masyado, bumaba din yung kita ng mga driver.
And this new competition arrived in the mid-1990s no, with Toyota Tamaro FX and other Asian utility vehicles operating no, as air-conditioned shared taxis. So, may laki nung competition na kinaharap nitong mga jeepneys na ito. At itong mga FX lured away middle-class commuters with their comfort. Kasi ikaw ba naman, makikisiksikan ka dun sa mga shaman na sakit pero pwede ka naman magbayad for an aircon. Siyempre, doon ka na sa mas comfortable ka.
Ang funny lang ng idea na middle class na yung mga FX before. Kasi now, for us, middle class, you need to have a car no? For you to be middle class. But doon, middle class ka na kapag nag-FX ka. No? How times have changed.
Yung UV Express.
Oo. Anyway, nung 90s, sobrang dumami ang jeepneys. Lumaki din yung concerns about their environmental sustainability kasi sobrang lala ng air pollution ng Manila, no? At marami nagsasabi na dahil ito sa dami ng mga jeepneys. In fact, may mga studies na nagpakita na dahil nga sa mga jeepney, despite being a fraction of total vehicles in the roads, they contributed disproportionate particulate emissions kasi ito yung mga luma nga na mga aging diesel engines na nirepurpose lang at inayos para umandar pa rin sa kalye.
Yeah, so mga 20, 30 years old na to, no, by that time, nung 2000s. So, madalas, nasisiraan sila, so tumitirik. Tapos yun nga, yung exhaust, yung usok nila, labas sila. Kita mo talaga kulay gray
Oo.
Diba? Pero yun, sinisi nila yung transport sector for 80% of Metro Manila's air pollution. Pero I think kailangan i-rethink yan, no?
Yeah, oo.
And yung mga ganyang, I don't know, shifting blames kasi mas madami nga namang kotse, diba?
In 2007, Makati City launched an Egypt pilot project with battery-powered units on specific routes. The Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, developed electric and hybrid prototypes. And these small initiatives signaled the change that was coming.
Then in June 2017, the Department of Transportation issued Department Order 2017-011, or the Omnibus Franchising Guidelines, formally launching the PUV Modernization Program. Ang goal nito, at very contentious, is to phase out all jeepneys 15 years or older and replace them with modern vehicles by 2020.
Yeah, so the jeepney embodies Filipino, culture, ingenuity. Kasi, di ba? War junk yan di ba? Tapos naging public transportation. Tapos dinesignan according to, to Filipino culture. At sabi nga nila yung Filipino maximalism. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Isang example lang 'yan. Kasi alam niyo yung halimbawa, yung Marston mat na ginamit ng mga Amerikano during World War II panglatag sa mga mapuputik na daan para makaandar yung mga jeep nila. So, these are like metal sheets na may mga bilog-bilog na butas. Pag pumunta kayo sa, di ba?
Bakod yun
Di ba? Ginagamit siya ngayong bakod. So, pag nakakita kayo nung gano'n, World War II yun. World War II relic yun. So, sobrang interesting. At yung jeep, parang gano'n din.
So, a jeepney ride is a communal theater, no? Strangers sit knee to knee, passing fares with pakiabot po. Well, everyone relaying coins to the driver. Then passing change back. So, this ritual showcases trust and cooperation among strangers. Ako, pag nasa jeep ako, medyo nai-enjoy ko yung nagpapasa-pasa.
Bilang bida-bida si Bro. Anong dream mo? Maging barker po.
Maging barker. Pero masaya kaya. Para kasing nasiserve mo sila, natutulungan mo sila. Seryoso yun seryoso yun.
Ako naman, bilang I don't really like being in crowded areas, sobrang hassle sa akin ng transportation. And because I'm also bigger, yung mga shaman na jeep sa akin kasi medyo waluhan lang yan so makakarinig ako lagi ng, isa kasi dyan, laki kasi niya. Wangin mo yung ganyang hirit that I had to endure growing up. Anyway, but medyo may ganun, pero meron din kasing etiquette no, when you ride a jeep, no? Kapag sumakay ka, tapos kapag magbabayad ka, di ba, bayad po, sorry, we're talking here about very Metro Manila centered experiences kasi mga metro.
Sa probinsya.
Oo. Pero I assume meron ding counterpart sa probinsya, no? It's normal na kapag may sumakay na iba tapos medyo ang tawag doon yung mga nakabuka yung paa, pwede mo sabihin na parang konting usog po, gano'n, na parang na parang parang ayusin mo yung upo mo, gano'n, to maximize the bench space. And then to stop, you yell para po or para, no? Which means literally in Spanish, stop. No? Or sometimes you use your coins to knock on the ceiling. Or ako, naalala ko talagang kinakatok ko lang yung ceiling pag bababa na ako.
Yung full the string to stop. Full the string.
Oo. You full the string to stop. Yeah.
Naalala ko lang yung isa pang way to say para is like sa lugar lang. And I think that's more common in the Visayan
Tabi lang
region.
po.
Yeah.
Tabi lang po sa amin, sa mga Tagalog. Tapos very interesting yung etiquette na to kasi 'di ba parang may mga kupal moves din kapag nasa jeep ka. Like halimbawa, iaabot mo yung bayad, katapat mo lang yung kasama mong pasahero imbis na iabot mo sa driver by yourself. Sabihin mo pa, makikisuyo ka pa, parang excuse me.
Or tipong, alam mo yun na parang sasakay ka ng jeep tapos may dalawa lang na nakasakay. Tapos sasakay ka sa pinakadulo sa may bandang estribo. Tapos magpapakiabot ka. So, parang ako, ang kapal naman ng mukha mo, no? Umupo ka dyan sa napakalayo. Tapos ako pa yung lalapit sa'yo para kumuha ng bayad
galing,
mo.
No?
Meron pa yan eh. And I think our TikTok creators really use this jeepney riding experience wisely. No? Yung mga funny experiences like si ate na mahaba ang buhok, humahampas yung sa mukha mo yung kanyang buhok. Or yung basa ang buhok, nababasa, mga ganyan. Or yung pagwa 1, 2, 3. Alam mo yung 1, 2, 3?
Oo, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 takbo.
Diba? 1, 2, 3, takbo. Hindi ka magbabayad kasi wala kang pambayad, di ba?
Pati nga yung yung mga modus. Di ba? Sabi laglag barya, yung tawag dun sa modus. So magalaglag sila ng barya, yung mga magnanakaw sa jeep. Magalaglag ng barya, so madidistract ka kasi may naglaglag ng barya eh.
Oo. Or syempre may mga rin, mga hino-hold up na jeep, no? Naka-experience na ako niyan. Na nasa jeep ako sa Commonwealth, hino-hold up yung buong jeep. Mga ganong experiences ba? Na para sa akin ay very Filipino coded ba na experience.
Oo.
At kasama na rin yan, no? Yung parang yung jeepney art that deserves its own museum, kumbaga. So, the tradition exploded in 1950s, nabanggit natin kanina, with multiple accents and painted names, no? By the 1960s and 70s, vehicles became moving canvases with religious imagery, pop culture heroes, and family dedications. Naalala ko yung mga words like katas ng Saudi. Di ba uso yun nun?
Maliban sa usually nilalagyan ng pangalan yung mga jeep, di ba? Syempre may signages, pero minsan yung jeep mismo sa taas niya na parang rectangle, may pangalan yan eh. Yung pangalan ng jeep, usually pangalan ng anak yan. Parang sa mga taxi din, yung mga taxi rin nilalagyan ng pangalan ng mga anak nila yan, di ba? Pero meron din yung iba't ibang mga kasabihan ba, no? Halimbawa, may mga slogan na nakalagay na mga God knows who does not pay, no? Which is a play on words, no? God knows Judas not pay, yeah. So para sa mga
parang mahiya ka naman, 'di ba? Parang konsensya mo na lang, parang gano'n.
Sa mga nagwa 1, 2, 3 ito, in particular, no? Meron din yung basta driver, sweet lover, no? At marami pang ibang medyo sexist, no? Ng mga
basta
slogan.
Sexy libre, gano'n.
Mga basta sexy, libre, pagpangit, doble, mga ganon. Oo. Ang daming very I think 90s, early 2000s, no? Very funny in a way, no? At that time, but now medyo mapapataas na yung kilay. Oo, yung iba when they hear it.
Yes. So yung mga artist na nagpe-paint nitong mga jeep, madalas din sila sign painters din nung mga shop billboards nung nung hindi pa uso yung mga printed.
Correct. Yung mga tarpaulin.
Hand-painted, hand-painted yan eh, 'di ba? Yung mga kahit movie posters, 'di ba?
Correct.
Sobrang interesting. Neighborhoods in La Loma and Las Piñas, diyan yung area ng mga skilled jeepney painters. Sila yung sikat diyan.
Sa ano din, may mga regional variations din that developed over time. Like sa Baguio, mas matataas yung mga jeepney doon. Enclosed bodies for mountain chill, often painted with pine trees or fugao patterns. Perhaps, no? Cebu, units carried religious sayings in Cebuano with chrome exhaust pipes extending high.
Oo, iba-iba talaga yan. Like, naalala ko, yung sa may bandang Rizal area naman, Marikina, yung mga patok, yung mga sobrang lakas ng tugtog. Or very, very specific yung mga niremix. Oo, mga niremix na 90s songs na meron na lang dug. Yung kung magliligan lang ng bass, yung mga tas niremix. Oo.
Or yung mga rap na Tagalog na hindi mainstream masyadong. Doon na may mainstream no, sa mga patok.
Uso yung mga kabet, 'di ba? Yung naalala niyo yung yung kantang kabet.
Yung kabet.
Mga patok yan eh, patok jeep.
Sa mga patok jeepney. So yeah, fascinating yung jeepney world eh. It's traditionally male-dominated, but women still played crucial behind-the-scenes role, no? Ako madalas nakakasakay ako noon na ang katabi ng driver ay yung asawa niya, tapos yung anak nila, tapos yung asawa niya yung nagbibilang ng pera or nagko-collecta ng nagsusukli, no? Or may hawak nung jeepney fare matrix para malaman kung magkano yung mga ganong intricacies, kumbaga. So in a way, while driving is still largely male-dominated at the time, women often manage finances, they served as dispatchers, or they inherited family operations.
So yung mga driver, medyo kilala nila yung mga pasahero di ba? Tapos siyempre yung mga estudyante, may discount. Student discount, saka yung mga senior citizen, di ba? Tapos yung isa pang interesting aspect ng jeepney experience, gusto ko lang ikwento, yung kapag may nakasakay ka, nakakilala mo, libre mo.
Oo, yeah. Ako na. Oo,
diba?
Tama. Oo.
Ako na. Ito na. Diba? Ang galing.
Alam mo, lagi ko naiisip yan kapag, dito kasi sa Japan, diba, we individually tap our cards to pay. Tapos naisip ko, kung sa Pinas to, ang daling, ako na sa pamasahe mo, ang daling manlibre ng kasama. Pero ito, individually mo talaga siya gagawin. Pero ako sobrang, kasi may ninong akong jeepney driver. So, inaabangan ko lagi, sana makasakay ako kay ninong kasi ililibre ako ng pamasahe. So, pag nakakasakay ko siya, parang, inaanak ko yan, libre na yan, huwag niyo singilin yan. Parang gano'n. Parang ako, ninong ko yan.
Kami may jeep yung yung tito ko saka yung lola ko before. So kapag napapasakay ako dun sa jeep na yun, wala libre din.
Nakakalibre ka din. Tsaka grabe, mura ng pamasahe no. Ako naalala ko ang jeepney ko noon dati going to UP is around 3 pesos, 3.50.
Nahalata yung edad?
Oo. Ako nung first year college, I remember 3.50. Well, malapit lang, Sandigan Bayan lang kasi ako nakatira. So, less than 4 kilometers. So, parang 3.50. Tapos naging 4 pesos and so on. Tumaas na. Yeah.
Alala ko mga 6 yun eh. 6, 7. 6, 7.
Oo, kasi
nung ako yung estudyante ganyan.
During that period, ang bilis tumaas ng pamasahe. Pabago-bago siya actually. Oo.
Nung huli kong uwi, ang mahal ng pamasahe. Nagulat ako like 15 pesos, 20 pesos.
12, 13.
12, oo.
Iba na.
Tapos ngayon magbibilang ka ng coins no na pare-pareho yung itsura. Mas magbabayad ka.
Yan yung una kong naisip eh. Paano nagagawa ng mga jeepney drivers? Ibahin or distinguish itong mga coins na ito?
Skills. Dati kapalang alam na nila yun eh.
So, as of 2024, roughly 200,000 jeeps still operate nationwide na to, no? With 600,000 drivers depending on them. And the average traditional jeepney is, of course, very old. Many of them are running chassis from the 1980s pa, 1990s, no? So, lumang-luma na. So, in a way, kailangan na rin talagang i-modernize yung ating transportation infrastructure, no, including of course yung mga sasakyan.
Yes. I mean, ang transport system naman talaga nag-iiba, di ba? So yung paraan lang ng pag-modernize, paano pa rin siya magiging accessible, paano mo pa rin i-empower yung mga driver. I think that's the main issue. Pero itong modernization program na ini-implement ng gobyerno, it requires 2 major changes. Number one, operators must consolidate into cooperatives with minimum of 15 units. And vehicles must meet strict modern standards, including Euro 4 emissions, side doors for safety.
Yeah, oo.
Di ba? Tapos GPS tracking and CCTV cameras.
Pero the problem is actually yung cost na kasama nito, no? Traditional jeepneys cost around 800,000 to 1.2 million. So,
Grabe, ano?
yung modern units, 2.4 to 2.8
Sino
million.
makaka-afford siya?
Sobrang layo. And the government offers loans with 6% interest over 7 years. Plus, subsidies that started at 80,000 pesos. That later raised to 160.
Kaya nagagalit yung mga grupo like Piston, no? Piston has staged massive strikes since 2017. Ang tawag nila rito, hindi to modernization, phase out ito, no? And they argue that it actually favors big corporations over small operators like them. Sobrang lala, halimbawa ng March 2023 strike nila, it affected 80% of Metro Manila routes. So malaki pa rin talaga yung mananakay ng mga jeepneys at malaking issue talaga itong modernization program na ito.
Yes. By November 2024, about 86% of public utility vehicles had consolidated into cooperatives, leaving roughly 36,000 vehicles unconsolidated. Tapos yung mga hindi nag-comply, tatanggalan ng permit.
And many fear displacements. No? Drivers in their 50s and 60s would have driven jeepneys for decades, lack other skills. The government promised to prepare a scholar, like training programs to harness and support them. No? And that no driver will lose their job. Pero yung implementation nito medyo malabo.
But the environmental benefits are real. No? Ito talaga mga old jeepneys na ito, they emit 5 times more particulate matter than Euro 4 engines. And when we replace them with electric units, these new units produce zero tailpipe emissions. So mas maganda talaga siya for the environment and I think for public health din. No? But, critics note that you only look at that aspect when the jeeps are on the road. But when you're looking at climate change in general and the issue of the environment, yung mismong pagmamanufacture nitong bahagong vehicles, it has its own carbon footprint. So we are forgetting that, no?
Mag-back na lang kasi tayo.
Or trains, di ba?
Yes. Or yung bus system ayusin. Anyway, innovation continues despite tensions. Ito isa kasi sa mga contentious point, itong jeepney phase out or PUV modernization program ng gobyerno ay yung source nila ng mga modern jeepneys na foreign manufacturers, kaya ang mahal-mahal. So ngayon, Francisco Motors, yung binanggit natin kanina na jeepney, na isang pioneer ng jeepney manufacturing, noong 2023, naglabas sila ng electric na e-jeep, electric jeepney, under 1 million pesos. So ang laking mas mura, and it retains the traditional open-air design. So, I mean, di ba, ito yung dapat i-empower ng gobyerno, yung mga local domestic manufacturing and industry na, di ba, na may potential din talaga.
And with the impending phase out or the threat of phasing out these jeepneys, museum and heritage groups scramble to preserve these examples or artifact. Well, and the National Museum displays vintage Sarao jeeps. Las Piñas even opened a jeepney gallery at the Sarao factory. Private collectors restore old units for parades and even exhibits.
But that would be nice, no? A jeepney museum. Kung tutuusin, naging bahagi talaga ng buhay natin. Ngayon na i-phase out na siya dahil sa modernization. At least, let's try to keep the memory alive then. And it would be nice if the NHCP can have one of these museums, kumbaga, for the jeepneys. But then, the question remains, can we modernize transport while preserving this part of our cultural heritage? Kasi, other countries faced similar transitions. Ang favorite example ko rito is the tuk-tuk in Bangkok, di ba? It was phased out in a way as a modern or yung mga songtheos, phased out sila, but they still are on the streets kasi they're part of the touristic activity that tourists would want to do, no? Mahal na nga lang sumakay ng tuk-tuk, di ba? Mexico City also replaced their peceros with modern buses. Pero kasi kung tutuusin, yung centrality ng jeepney, hindi comparable eh. Kasi sa atin sobrang central ng jeepney eh, sa pang-araw-araw na buhay. Malaki yung kanyang cultural significance, malalim.
Talagang halos lahat ng mga Pilipino may memory ng pag-jeep, pagsakay ng jeep. Kahit nga sa mga iconic na palabas kayo sa TV,
Yeah.
jeepney driver yung mga bida. So yeah, it's a Philippine story basically.
So next episode, we're exploring something that transformed from a prestige food of the Datus into the daily sustenance of 110 million Filipinos.
Yes, at yan ang ating magiging finale episode, no? Kasi pansamantalang magpapaalam ang podcast. Pero next week para sa ating pansamantalang finale, pag-uusapan natin yung isang bagay na kilala natin sa napakaraming pangalan, no? At something na araw-araw we look forward to eating. Abangan niyo yan.
Yes, maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Again, follow us on our social media accounts at bisitahin na rin ang aming website. Hanggang sa muli, and as always, have a good day.